Um, we can't take any actions until Ray arrives,
Okay,
but we can hear reports and,
okay,
and anything that doesn't involve taking an action. So I would suggest we
okay.
proceed that way. So just
All righty then.
getting through the agenda, and everything should be fine when Ray gets here. If there's motions and votes, we'll do them at that time.
Okay, sounds like a deal. Okay, so let's call the meeting to order. Obvious Roberts is here, and Johnson will be joining us hopefully in a few minutes. Jessica, do we have any guests today, guest speakers?
I'm not quite sure. We do have someone who joined anonymously. However, I don't
Okay.
know if you would like to address.
All righty. So they just maybe, so if we have a visitor, they might just be wanting to observe for today then?
Correct.
Okay, all righty. All righty, and it looks like Dave is here. Very good. All righty, Dave, we do have Ray joining us a little bit later, so if there's any decision-making, anything of that nature, we'll deal with that when Ray comes into play here. Let's see, the minutes, I guess I'm gonna have to wait for that too in terms of Ray when he shows up, so we'll go ahead and move on. And so that will take us to D, the roadway reconstruction project, Sandia Creek via Vaquero. Take the floor, Dave.
I'm turning it all over to Ron, since he's the one that's been working on it for the last 2 weeks.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, I'll jump in. So for the road reconstruction, the Sandia Creek and Via Vaquero, I know last month we mentioned that, we got the letter from CDFW. We've gotten responses from the agencies, which is a great step forward, and we're right there. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Everything's still on pace for being in, by that July that we've stated. And I know, Jim, you saw that letter that came in. So we're moving along on that. We've had Ultra Systems. They've been working behind the scenes, kind of talking with all the agencies. I see a lot of emails going back and forth, but I am seeing positive responses. And the biggest thing is we're seeing responses, which has been the problem all along. But we are seeing responses, and everything seems like it's on board. The next step, and I know Dave and I have mentioned this. We have we have Marietta Development on board. We have the plans already. We just want to make sure we get them involved in the negotiation to get so that right when we get that environmental permit, we're ready to go, shovels and ground. So we have that ready, and we can do that. I think now we're close enough to the point where we can actually reach out to them this week, send them the plans, and get them going, and see how they feel about the updates to the plans, and just see what their updating prices are going to be. And I think that's about it, unless I missed something, Dave, if you wanted to add anything. Or
No, you're fine. Everything says good.
I have a question regarding the environmental permitting agencies. Have any of them indicated that there's additional work, or lack of a better term, hoops we are going to have to jump through that we haven't completed yet, or anything coming out of it? Negative feedback?
I haven't. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to say, early on, they asked for a bunch of additional information back in February or something like that, Ron?
Yeah.
And so they came through and gave them everything they asked for back then.
Okay.
So with this coming out, it sounds like, hey, basically say, if you don't hear from us, you're good. Sounding like we unless something big, gets hammered down, they're fine. So.
All right, good.
Moving along.
good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All righty, we're heading on to E, the Buena Vista project. Dave?
That's Ron again.
I was gonna say,
Ron again.
It's all Ron. It's all Ron. So,
I do everything under Dave. So basically what we're doing here, so I know at the last board meeting, we approved to go to bid on that project. So in between that board meeting and now, I've been working with Jessica and our staff here, and we have gotten the project advertised. I sent Jessica everything to get everything out to the newspaper, and also we did this day and age, we did the online bid rooms. So we sent them out to about 10 or 12 different online bid rooms. And so the project's out there. I've gotten a couple responses so far, so that's good. People are starting to ask for the plans. So we're seeing that. And the timeline on that, we're basically, with that bid notice, it's going to put us at the bid opening date, which the bid opening is when we received all the bids and we open the bids publicly and read them aloud. And then the next step would be we would determine the lowest responsible bidder. And then the date for that is going to be July 8th, which is set up to be the week before the committee meeting, the following committee meeting in July. So come the next committee meeting, we should have all our bids in and we should have the lowest responsible bidder determined. And once we make that recommendation to the district, we'll work with district staff and work on getting that to the next board meeting, potentially awarding that contract. That's the goal, at least. That's the timeline. But so that's the deal with all the bidding on that. If nobody has any questions on that or that process. So silence is good. And then with Buena Vista, we're still going through the environmental with that. We're dealing with the agencies, and Buena Vista is a little bit tougher on the environmental side, just because that roadway is it's been completely bare for a while now, and there's a lot of vegetation growing in there now. So the agencies are looking at that. There's been a lot of coordination. This one is done by Rincon, and we're looking at that. I know we originally were thinking maybe permits earliest in July. They've been going back and forth, and it may be a few months out past that after talking with them, but everything's moving along. We've received a couple of the reports and they've sent them out to the agencies, and that's why we're getting that new timeline, as they're looking at it and saying, there's extra vegetation or just little items there that we need to take care of, but we are working with them. And when we have the bidders on board, we have language in our specifications that will make the bids valid throughout that time period. So we're not going to be in the same situation with Sandia Creek. So we're covering ourselves and learning from that. And I think that we're looking forward to getting that, wrapped up, and we're on the right steps here. It's just, environmental, it's all in the agency's hands, and we're at their whim. So we're just trying to please them as best we can and get them everything they need. And that back and forth communication has been essential in that. But that's about my update on that.
Very good. Good job. Yeah. Any other comments or questions, Jim? Anything for you?
Nope.
Okay. Speaking of which, how are you feeling, young man?
Oh, feeling good. Got my little, what do you call it? Little hole in my wrist. And beyond that, everything's going fine. Yeah, so actually feel the difference. But what is it? 22% increased blood flow out. So I guess it makes sense you would feel better. So anyway, only thing he went around my heart, checked everything out, said, I'm very lucky. Everything looks really good, with the exception that I was telling the truth in my pre-surgery interview with him. He said, you really have eaten a lot of steaks in your lifetime, because the steak residue is all around your heart. And my days of eating steaks are coming to an end tomorrow, when I get time with his PA, who's going to tell me what I can eat from here on out and what I can't eat. So I know my days at the steakhouse have come to an end.
That is so sad. That is so
Well,
sad.
I'm sorry to hear that as well, but believe me, you're not going to miss it.
No, probably not.
There's Beyond Burgers, and
It'll save me a lot of money.
we'll keep up the good work, Jim.
I'll have to jump over to hamburger.
Good point.
Until tomorrow.
I know. Continue to keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, glad you're well.
Thanks.
All righty, well, let's go from stakes to traffic issues. How about you, Steve?
There's a good transition. Hey, Jim, do you know what SPAM stands for?
Oh, is that stuff I used to eat when I was poor?
Uh-huh.
Trying to get through college?
Yeah, it stands for something posing as meat.
Yeah.
right.
That's how I got through college.
That's good.
Okay, so here we are doing the traffic update first for you, Debbie. And then just
Okay.
go ahead and advance the slides. We're rotating the CMS as we bit. Whoa,
Sorry.
slow down.
Go
We're
ahead.
rotating the CMS. It's going to be out on Via Vaquero next, and then we got the 3 streets that are listed that are coming up after that. All right, now you can switch. We contacted the county about the stop sign at Avenida Doro and Rancho Cal, and they fixed that flashing light, so it's back and operating again. We've been checking the visibility at several driveways prior to construction. We got several permits that have come up, and we've been monitoring the traffic control from a lot of the contractors out in the field, because it seems like this is a good, they've all gone out there. And the other thing that we've been doing is we've been verifying intersection safety and trying to remove any obstacles. And so I wish I had a better picture for you, but I'll give it to you on the night of the board meeting. But this is one of the ones that we also took care of over the course of time. We had an abandoned vehicle here with no plates, no license, no nothing. And so we called and made a call, and next picture, vehicle's done. And that's the traffic portion.
All right.
Disappearing vehicle.
Magic dust. Maintenance wise, we're continuing to clear the weeds to expose the fire hydrants throughout the area. We also took out some of the weeds along the shoulders that were graded, and we've also put out a patch contract that'll start up here in about 8 days. And that's for fixing a lot of the road edges and potholes that we have. So you'll see that contractor out. And then our staff has been out there backfilling the shoulders to bring them all up to grade. They tend to lose some of the dirt and stuff along the edges and stuff like that. So these are some of the streets that they hit in the last couple of weeks. We get accumulation of trash, which we talked about at the last meeting, and look, it's already back again. And then we go out, next picture, and make it look clean again. So it's a little game we're playing right now, I guess.
Yeah.
We're still following up with the homeowners that haven't completed their trim work. That's slowed down a little bit. We had good compliance the first 3 or 4 months, but now we're getting to the cranky ones that don't want to act so quickly, I guess. We've been out crack sealing streets on these 4 streets in the last week or 2. And then Debbie wanted to run this one by you. This is a new idea that our Dustin came up with, but you kind of see from the picture that we had the bulletin board sign at Vaquero and Sandia Creek got hit by a vehicle. Took out that pole that was to protect the sign, took out the left-hand side of the sign and the sign itself, and left us these 2 concrete bases with angles sticking up and like that. And so Dustin looked at it and said, well, if you want to replace it, you know, they spent about $2,500 for these signs, and we'd have to rent a skid steer to dig out those deep foundations they put them on and everything else they got. So, you know, we're looking at $3,500, $4,000 to repair this thing. And so we said, what other options do we had? And so he drew up this little plan on the aerial and said, well, the white and blue, I mean, the yellow and blue that you see there is kind of the sign. Then there'll be a post in the middle that we can dig into the dirt where those concrete piers are. And then we'll build a box in the purple there around to hide those angle stops that are sticking up that we can't dig out and stuff like that. So next picture.
Just one moment, Mr. Johnson is joining us here shortly.
Okay. So here's the finished product now. And this cost us, instead of $3,000 or $4,000, this cost us $467 for our materials and labor to do this. So we saved the community over $3,000 here. So want to get your feedback on that, how you guys like that and everything, so that if you've heard anything from any of the neighbors or anything like that. It's been up for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. So
What's the cross streets again?
that's at Vaquero and Sandia Creek. It's at the, what I'd call, I guess, the southwest corner there, where the mailboxes are.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'll have to drive by there, yeah.
Okay.
But from here, it looks great.
Okay.
Yeah, vast improvement. Good cost savings, right? Very good.
Steve, we didn't know.
Okay, good. I'll drive by there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dave.
We didn't know what car hit it and did the damage, so we can bill them.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that and see if we can get that worked out too, you know.
Okay.
And then this was another new idea that Dustin came up with, and that was to salvage this old chipper that's been damaged. This thing was involved in an accident and is no longer usable, but he said the parts are valuable. So he looked at the auction and found out that the engine alone is worth between $3,500 and $5,000. So we're going to see what we can do about auctioning this up and get what we can for the engine, and then get rid of the rest of the metal and the frame and everything like that to anyone who might want it and stuff like that. So we'll report back later when we find out more about that. And that's our report for the night. And I'll answer any questions or go back and give anything to Ray if he needs to see it, you know.
I think we're good.
Good job. Thank Justin for that. Yeah, good ideas. You guys are continuing to be clever with these ideas, so very good. Okay. Okay. Hi there, Ray. How are you?
Good, good.
Hi, Ray.
I wanted to thank you for stepping in for me at the May board meeting. Really appreciate it very much.
Not a problem.
Okay, very good. All righty. Let's see. Jim, anything on your end?
No, I'm in the process of arranging a few meetings regarding the SB 415, the gas tax or fuel tax bill. The first is with Kevin Jeffrey's staff and his chief of staff. The primary purpose there is to get them educated, because it seems to be that the issue is rather complex. It's not something most people deal with most of the time. And once they finally get enough information that they're more or less educated, they begin to see things our way. So that's really my mission now for the next few weeks, is to try to get them on board, because of course Jeffries had said if we can prove that it won't cost the county any money, they'll support that. And I think we can, but it's rather complicated because it involves state law and involves county procedures that go back 40 years. So anyway, we're starting with the county people, and that's number one. Number two is the executive officer of LAFCO, which is the Local Agency Formation Commission. And it just so happens that a mandatory review of our operations is happening and has been happening for the last 6 months. The state, maybe 10 years ago, wanted all cities and special districts to have an independent review of their operations, just to ensure. I think it's more in the rural kind of counties and areas where you've got these public agencies operating with very little oversight. And so anyway, each LAFCO in every county is required to, on a periodic basis, conduct a review, and that has to be in writing. So a report is being prepared right now, and I know that the first draft is complete because I've seen it. And it came out very favorable. So the executive director and his staff contacted us, asked for all kinds of information, and they prepared a report which will be submitted to the LAFCO board at their August meeting. And we will probably have board members attend, probably at least one. Marianne, I've actually alerted to her that she should probably be present. And they will generally review our operations and issue a finding. But based on the report that has come out in draft form, it's very favorable to the district. I think the only thing that they've found that we could improve upon is more documentation in our board packets. And that comes from very large agencies where they've got all these interns and staff people that write all these up. And there's no question, he actually talked to me about it, that we could do better there. This district has just never used them. I certainly know how over the years to do that. I know Ray Johnson, working for the county and being a planning director, he knows all about writing staff reports for council and board packets. But anyway, I think that was about the only recommendation that they came up with. And generally, as I remember, the conclusion is that for our size and our financial abilities, we're doing very well. And he does address, though, the fuel tax issue. And so I'm hoping that we can get LAFCO board to find our quest for this tax money to be something they can support. And coincidentally, one of the members of LAFCO is Supervisor Jeffries himself. So I'm hoping that in this coming out from an independent agency person, whatever, and our own supervisor participating in this discussion, and there's another supervisor on the LAFCO board. So since Jeffries has already indicated his tentative support, perhaps this would be the way we can get his permanent or active support, and hopefully the other supervisors. So we have two supervisors behind our cause, and we would just need one more. So anyway, that's more of the information you probably wanted to know, but it's really important, and you wouldn't have to know this so much if this were just normal time. But since our item is coming up with LAFCO, I thought the more information about it, the better, because it's really going to be important to us. For this, the report itself, it really doesn't matter. It's just pro forma. But the fact that we really need something this time, we're going to be the only one that really needs something, as far as I know, in those hearings. So anyway, but that's coming up in August, so it's just forewarning. I did just check my phone while I was driving. I looked at my mail. It just came out that these Zoom meetings are going to continue indefinitely. The governor's office just announced that he's not rescinding the executive order that requires Zoom meetings for public agencies, and that process will be a slower process, so that all the government agencies in the state have time to gear up for whatever the solution is going to be in terms of using programs like Zoom. But as it stands right now, we can't have an official public meeting pursuant to the governor's that's just hot off the press. I'm sure Dave will have more, or Ward will have more to say about it at the meeting. But I keep getting asked this question, when are we cutting back to on-site meetings? So that I thought was kind of significant. Other than that, that's all I have right now. We've got the big budget meeting this coming, well, a week from tomorrow. It'll be a lot of action items on your agenda at the board meeting because of the fact that it's the end of the fiscal year, start of the new government year. In fact, the reason I was a little bit delayed in arriving is I've been over at the sheriff's station over in French Valley, and just really kind of again a pro forma meeting with the captain, Zach, and his lieutenant, and Sam was there also, just to review the contract. There really are no changes this year, but that will be on your agenda. And so we talked about it, and I discussed some of our funding issues, discussed the fuel tax that could have some financial implication on them, because that could supplement the traffic enforcement budget. So it's not huge, but it will have a positive effect in that regard. So we had a good meeting. I'd never been to that station, so Sam gave me a tour of the whole place. So, and when I ended, I said it looks exactly like every other county sheriff's station I've ever been in. They must have some kind of cookie cutter blueprints to build those places. So anyway, but it was interesting meeting all the people. I've seen all the names, but most of them I didn't know or hadn't seen a face. So anyway, so probably a little bit longer meeting this coming Wednesday. And other than that, any questions if anybody has any, or staff members, did I cover anybody? We have any hot items I forgot about, or?
Approval of the minutes.
I'm sorry?
Approval of the minutes.
Well, now I guess it would be time to, that was the only action item that we deferred, if I remember right, Debbie? Was it the only one?
Right. So yeah, so thank you for that update. So we know what to look forward to next Wednesday. Number one. Number two, and we'll go ahead and take care of the minutes, and then I just have one comment. So let's go back to C, minutes, approval of May the 11th, 2021 minutes. Any comments, changes, anything of that nature? Ray?
No.
Okay, good. Then those minutes are approved. Thank you, Jessica. Just a minor feedback on the Fallbrook Sandia Creek gate. Just a little update that I happened to receive. I believe this is going to be their final meeting this Friday at 9 o'clock. It's the last of the appeals, I believe. So from what I understand, there should be a decision coming out of that committee. And I believe their agenda item number 2, which they're lucky because those meetings appear to go on and on and on. And in fact, I understood from the last meeting, the residents there weren't even given an opportunity to speak because they were already over 2 hours. So anyhow, so they've been putting out some information. And of course, it's open to the public for any comments and so forth. So I think we should be hearing something probably by the noon hour or shortly thereafter. So Jim, if I hear anything, I'll just throw you a text and let you know if it's yay or nay. So that's it on my end, and no other comments or anything. Okay, then I want to thank everybody for everybody's hard work once again. Everything is looking really good when we've taken a look at Sandia Creek via Vaquero, and of course, all the work that we're undertaking with Buena Vista, and all the presentation information that was sent over. Well done, very good. Though I need a magnifying glass to read some of it. Anyhow, so, yes, if there's nothing else, then I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next
Everyone.
week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.